Welcome to the Real Estate Deep Dive with Paul D. Garrison from JP and Associate Realtors. So today we're going to be talking about unicorn years. Yep, you heard me right. Unicorn years. So what exactly are unicorn years? Well, first off, we're using unicorn in a way that's not that commonly used. It's to describe something that is greatly desired, but difficult or impossible to find. So unicorn years is a new term for the housing market during the pandemic years. It's our attempt to disconnect the benefits of the strong housing market from the pain that so many people experienced during that time. The pandemic profoundly changed real estate over the last few years. The demand for a home of your own skyrocketed. People needed home offices and big backyards. Waves of first-time and second home buyers entered the market. Already low mortgage rates were driven to historic lows. Forbearance plans all but eliminated foreclosures. Home values reached appreciation levels never before seen. This time was a market that was forever and been greatly desired but difficult or impossible to find. It was a unicorn year for years. Now that things are getting back to normal, these unicorns have galloped off. So you're probably asking yourself, what is he talking about? Why is he talking about unicorns? So my point here is that these were some very unique years, and in the coming months we're likely to hear about headlines comparing where we are today to those years. Well, you've probably heard me say this before, but headlines often frighten more than they enlighten. So my purpose in talking about the unicorn years is to talk about how different they are and how unique, and that a lot of these articles are going to try and compare these coming months and years to these past years that we've just gotten out of. And that's not going to be the best thing to do because they are so unique and different. Instead, what I want to do is actually take a better perspective, put everything in context, and show where we are in relation to the unicorn years, but also in comparison to the years leading up to the unicorn years. That way you get a whole picture of where the current market is and stands in relation to a more normal market, as well as the unique unicorn years. So here's a look at home appreciation, both during the unicorn years, 2020, 2021, the last year we just got out of, which is 2022, and the previous years leading up to the pandemic, which are 2017 through 19. As you can see here, kind of the average or normal time, we were at 7%, 5%, 4%. But then we hit the unicorn year, and we see some incredible appreciation. An average nationwide of around 11% in 2020 and 18% in 2021. So if you were just to compare 2022 to 2021, it looks like appreciation has dropped off significantly, going from 18% to 5%. When you look at the bigger picture, you realize that we're actually returned to more normal appreciation levels at 5% appreciation in 2022. So with the last slide, we saw that only comparing last year to the previous year can give us a misleading view that things are bad when they're actually more of a return to normal. This next chart shows listings showing traffic for April for the last 7 years. Actually helps us see that while showings have dropped off a bit from 2022, they're still well above the normal years prior to the pandemic. And here's another similar chart, which is around foreclosures. Now, during the pandemic, foreclosures were kept at a kind of an artificially low level due to legislation. We see that here in 2020 and 2021. And we're going to see a lot of articles about foreclosure are on the rise and that sort of thing. But it's important to keep that in perspective. If we take a good look at this chart, the average number of foreclosures from 2017 to 2019 was around just under 600,000. So if we look at where we were in 2022, we're just over 300, about half that at 324,000. So yes, they've risen compared to 2021, but we're still well below the average for the prior years or prior normal years. So again, here's another important metric, the median days on market. Homes were actually selling much faster during those unicorn years because of high demand, low inventory. So you see down here, medians were 35 and 30 days, Well, we're starting to creep back up. We're up to 43, but that's still well below the median days on market. If you look at 2017, 18, and 19, which is around the mid 50s. So this next slide touches on one of the key issues in the market right now, which is inventory, or think of it as supply in the housing market. This shows the inventory levels for May for the last 7 years. So you can see the years before the pandemic, we were around 1.1, 1.2 million homes available for sale in May of each year. But the pandemic comes along, and the inventory levels start to drop rather significantly down into the low to mid fours. Then if we look at where we are in 2023, we're at about 582,000 homes available for sale. Well, that's a good increase if we're comparing it to 2022, but unfortunately, it's really not much compared to, or about half of what a normal year was back in 2017 to 2019. So inventory is still very, very tight, and will remain one of the chief challenges facing our market today. So if we translate this into months, if we look at how long would it take if no new listings came on the market, how long would it take us at the current sales rate to burn through that inventory? That's what this chart shows us here. So looking at the pre-pandemic years, inventory levels were just at 4 months, which is still considered a seller's market during that time. But then the unicorn years come, and we're down in the low twos in months of inventory, and that's obviously the crazy hyper sellers market that we saw there. And we're starting to climb back out of that. We're at just under 3 months of inventory in 2003, April 2003. That's still definitely a seller's market. That's going to continue to keep upward pressure on home prices. It's going to continue to give buyers a bit of a challenge on finding the houses that they want. So again, it's going to probably remain a seller's market for a while. So I'm going to wrap up this presentation with one last slide, which just shows pending listings. So these homes that are under contract, they're about to close in May over the last 7 years. And we see it's pretty consistent as far as the number of homes, usually in the mid 400,000 range, except for those unique unicorn years where we saw up in the 600 and 500,000 range. So again, this chart shows the importance of looking in back over several years and keeping things in perspective. If we were to only look at the last 3 years, it would look like things are trending downward and give a very negative view. But when we actually look at the whole 7-year picture, we see that yes, we had some unique unicorn years in 2021 and 22, but actually what's happened is we've returned to more of a normal year. Many of the metrics and numbers in this presentation are based off of the national real estate market. However, local areas can vary. Please give me a call and we can discuss your situation. Have questions about your specific needs or location? Please contact me at 214-683-8188 or paul@pauldgarrison.com. Want more information about the housing market and related issues? Be sure and check out my blog at www.pauldgarrison.com. Thank you for your time. Please take a moment to visit our website at www.pauldgarrison.com.